If you've spent the last few evenings scrolling through endless product pages, watching side-by-side videos, and still feel that knot of doubt about which streaming encoder actually fits your workflow, you're not alone. The market is crowded, the specs look impressive on paper, and the fear of dropping a few $1,000s on a unit that will sit under a desk unused is very real. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down why the Teradek Serv 4K feels like a different kind of gamble one where the odds are stacked in your favor, but only if your use case lines up. First off, let's talk about the kind of productions where this device actually shines. Imagine you're a freelance documentary filmmaker chasing a story in a remote location, or a small team live event crew trying to get a multi-camera feed to a client in real time. In those scenarios, you need something you can mount directly on a camera that stays quiet enough not to get in the way of on-set audio, and that can push a clean, color-accurate 4K HDR signal without choking your internet connection. The Serv 4K is built for exactly that, a compact, camera-mounted box with an OLED menu that you can toggle while you're shooting, and dual codec support, HEVC and AVC. That lets you pick the most efficient compression for whatever bandwidth you have on hand. Now, if you're a studio-bound post-production house that already has a rack of dedicated encoders, or you only ever stream at 1080p from a fixed location, the Serv 4K might feel like overkill. Its biggest selling point is the ability to stream 4K P60 HDR with 10-bit 4:2:2 colors straight from the field, and if you never need that level of fidelity, you'll be paying a premium for a feature you won't use. One practical strength that shows up time after time in real-world reports is the local plus cloud flexibility. You can send a feed to a cloud platform like Vimeo Live or YouTube, but you also have the option to stream to up to 4 local devices on the same network. That means on a corporate town hall you can have the main stage feed go to the venue screen, a backup recorder, a remote director's tablet, and a client's laptop, all without needing separate encoders for each endpoint. The built-in multi-viewer support removes a lot of the wiring headaches that typically plague a multi-camera live shoot. Another hidden trade-off is the cooling system. Teradek went with a quiet fan that spins up only when the encoder hits sustained high bitrate. In my tests, the fan stayed almost silent for the first 10 minutes of a 4K stream, which is a relief when you're recording ambient sound in a quiet interview setting. The downside is that the unit runs hot under prolonged 45 megabits per second streaming. The OLED menu will flash a warning if temperatures creep up, and you'll need to make sure your camera rig has enough airflow, something you might overlook if you're mounting it on a tight gimbal or a small DSLR cage. Battery life is another point where the Serv 4K can surprise you both positively and negatively. The device draws about 12 watts at idle, but under full 4K HDR load it can push 20 watts. If you pair it with a standard mount battery, you'll get roughly 2 to 3 hours of continuous streaming, which is fine for a half-day shoot, but will require a swap for anything longer. Some users have added a small USB-C power bank as a backup, and because the encoder accepts both 12V DC and 5V USB-C, that hack works without any firmware tricks. However, the extra weight on the rig is something to factor in if you're already balancing a heavy lens. The security side of things is often overlooked until you actually need it. Teradek equipped the Serv 4K with 256-bit military-grade encryption, which means the stream is locked down from the moment it leaves the camera to the moment it lands on the cloud server. For news crews covering sensitive events, or for corporate streams that can't afford a data leak, that encryption level is a real peace-of-mind feature. The only practical drawback is that you have to configure the encryption keys ahead of time, which adds a few minutes to your pre-shoot checklist. If you're a solo streamer who just wants to hit go live without fiddling with keys, you'll likely never use that part of the hardware. So who should definitely consider the Serv 4K? If you are a field-based content creator who needs 4K HDR quality on the go, a small live event team that wants to feed multiple local screens and a cloud destination from a single unit, anyone who values end-to-end encryption for client-sensitive material, a professional who can afford the upfront cost and is comfortable managing a bit of extra thermal and power planning, and who might want to skip it if you only stream at 1080p from a fixed studio environment. Have an existing rack mount encoder setup that already handles your bitrate needs. Can't accommodate the extra weight and power draw on a tight camera rig. Don't need the built-in multi-viewer.